Buenas, welcome to Conversations with Coco. I'm your host, Ariana Nieves, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Hatem Shendi.
It's the hottest show out. Tune in. Rosie.
Rosie's high off the gas.
Calling to go when I need all the answers. She told me don't worry, I got you, keep dancing. Future is popping, as God is a witness. Start a new business, always like vision. I told the people accept me for me. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. Excuse my temper, I'm just flowing like trees, like the waves in the ocean. Potion got me pouring. I'm holding the crown, please like down if you want it. You better come stepping with Curry and Jordan. Trend to the music, don't listen to lyrics. I'm searching through myself to catch in my spirit. Senses is clearer, you whisper, I hear it. I'm getting stronger, yeah, I feel it, I feel it. Hey, do not come near me with negative energy.
So now that we finally made it, we're here at our humble abode, right? New upgrade a little bit. We're gonna be talking about a few things, but more importantly, I kind of want to get into you and your story and your journey, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't know Hatem, right?
Nah, try to stay incognito as
Yeah.
possible.
A lot of people you try to make sure that you're behind the scenes of everything.
Literally.
So I mean, your come up is definitely a testimony in itself. Cleo's over here trying to make sure she gets her shot at this as well. Come here. Your come up is definitely a testimony in itself, and I think that you just highlighting a little bit of where you're from, how your journey started, and then we'll get into your accolades and what you've accomplished, you know, at this ripe age of 30. Now that we're here.
Man, the big 3-0.
Right. So why don't you tell the people who you are, where you come from, all that.
So my name is Hatem Shendi. I grew up in Jersey City. My nationality, I'm Egyptian. I've been there a couple times.
You've been there a couple times? You want to get a little bit more into that? Homeboy lived there for a little bit.
I actually lived there for 2 years of my life in third and fourth grade, just due to the fact my grandma was actually ill. So, I mean, it was a good, humbling experience. Like, my father was able to take me to like the poor places in Egypt, obviously. So that really humbled me. Like, growing up, when I came here, you don't see stuff like that here, because it's all hidden from you. We live in a city. You don't see the poor. You hear about the poor, but you don't actually physically see like poor living conditions that you would see in a third world country. 100%. So seeing that definitely opens up your eyes and humbles you. It keeps you like very grounded, because you see that the worst of the worst is out there, and throughout life, there's nothing worse than that. Like, if you feel like at a point where you're like going through rough times, I always reference back to that time I've been there, like to the point where they don't even have toilet bowls. They're like 7-8 people in one room, and I was fortunate to not grow up like that. So it's definitely very humbling, and I'm very appreciative of that.
I think that, especially coming from where we come from, because both me and Hatem are both from Jersey City, born and raised, we definitely have like a skewed perception of poverty here. I think that, yes, of course, like we both grew up very humbly, don't get me wrong, but you can attest to the fact that it's a completely different ball game, especially where you and your family are from.
Of course. Like they literally, like in Egypt, like a lot of people usually leave like everything behind over there in order to come to other places. Like, they see America as like the promised land. And what's unfortunate is people leave in Egypt, they come here, try to start a life for themselves, they try to make everything better, then they don't realize how hard it is. Like in Egypt, all my cousins think we're millionaires, think we live in a big mansion, driving all these fancy cars, but they don't know that's not the case. Like, it's a struggle here, just like how it is everywhere. So, I mean, it might be better living situations due to like all the infrastructure we have and all the laws we have and all the, I would say, like governmental assistance for the poor, because compared to other countries, they don't have that. Mm-hmm. It's literally just eat what you kill. Like, you gotta like figure means out to survive.
Yeah, and I think also too we have an advantage. I mean, you yourself are directly within that lane, in the fact that, you know, we do have the freedom to create here, and that's something that is you get killed for in other countries. Like, to the freedom to be truly yourself and to, you know, create a life for your family and make money off of whatever you want to do, like as an entrepreneur, right? And what I think is really dope is that you had a firsthand personal, I guess, at home, teaching in that with your father. And I want to get a little bit more into your parents too, because their actions and all the sacrifices that they made 1000% created the man that you are today.
Of course, I mean, that's 100%. I mean, my father, for example, we'll start off with him. His mother passed away. Well, my grandmother, I never got a chance to see her. She passed away when he was 6 years old, and his father passed away when I was 4 years old. So I didn't really get to meet my grandparents as well. But from what I hear from my father, he always tried branching off to do better for himself and his family. He spent quite a time in London, spent quite a time in Amsterdam, spent quite a time in America. Like, I don't even know how he did half the stuff he did. Like,
He just was out. He was.
He had visas expire. Like, there's a lot to get into.
Making it happen.
Changing his name and get back into the country. Like, it's wild shit that happened, like, back in the day. And he did all that, obviously, for a better future. He see what he grew up around, see his friends growing up. And he saw that that's the best choice for him at the moment. At the moment, he wasn't married, he was single, doing his thing, basically grinding from the bottom up. So my father came to America, I think in like 1987, or I think he came in the late 70s, but he like came to live here in the 80s. That's when my sister was born 2 years later after that. He came, he started working at an Italian bakery in New York, from busboy, basically worked his way up to like a manager position. And then he left that, started working as a limo driver, as a black town car. And then at a point, he just transitioned to a yellow cab. And to the point where I would see him wake up every morning to start his shift at like 5 a.m. and he wouldn't be back home till like 5 p.m. So I'm looking at him like, damn, that sucks, man. I'm still in bed. Like, I hear him moving around. Like we didn't really have like, we lived in a one bedroom. Like, we ain't living in like the largest of the homes. So you hear every single movement that was in the household. So he used to do the long shifts. And obviously everybody knows like taxi drivers don't have it easy. Like, there's always a lot of like people trying to rob them, people trying to skip fares, a whole bunch
just energy you have to deal with.
Yeah, a whole bunch of negative energy. People you don't even want in your car, but you just have to make a living for your family. And then from there, that's it. I mean, he continued driving for a long time. He finally is able to retire recently, and he's just at home just driving my mother crazy. He's just looking for new stuff to do in the house. Like, he's so bored. Like,
trying something different.
Yeah, so I try to like create an opportunity for him, give him things to do. Anything I need help with, I try to obviously resort to him before I resort to anybody else, just because I know his work ethic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that hustle and that grind is something that you grew up with. Like, it's a testament to who you are today. Like, anybody that knows him, especially people that work with him, me personally, myself, he's like the worst. If something's on his head, it doesn't matter what time it is, like, he will do it from 5 a.m. to 5 a.m. as long as it gets done while he's focused on it. And that work ethic is something that you saw firsthand. Your father was out hella early, like taking care of everything he had to do, taking care of the house. And you had the luxury of having your mom around, be present majority of the time within your life. And even that, because that's work in itself. Like, why don't you get into a little bit with your mom too?
So my mother, she actually left the position at she was I guess she worked like for Egypt Airlines, so she had like a pretty high position with them. So she left everything behind in order to come to America to basically be there for my sister and myself. She never got a job, never did anything. She actually tried to learn how to drive, but apparently my dad's not the best instructor.
I can see that. I could.
Actually, funny story. He tried teaching her in a parking lot, and she hit a parked car. So that actually traumatized her from driving.
That was it.
And my father isn't really the easiest to deal with when it comes to that. And she stayed home. She obviously wanted what's best for us. She made sure we were fed, made sure our homework was done, long nights. Like, basically, she would try to like help me with English class. And obviously she has an accent, so I used to always get my shits and giggles laughing at the way she says stuff. And it's very humbling. Like, I mean, she left everything she had behind, her whole family. Like, I don't have any cousins here, uncles, aunts. It's just immediate family, just my mom, sister, and my father, and I'm very fortunate for that.
And that was something that, like, oh, the smoke killed my eyes a little bit. Sorry for the tearing up. Even though it is a little bit emotional.
It's the gas.
It's the gas. A big shout out to Garden State Meds for sponsoring this episode. Huge shout out to them. So thank you so much. But this was something that was a transition, you know, definitely for me, because when me and Tim came together, I come from a very different background. I come from a huge family. I'm half Puerto Rican, half Italian. And both my parents are first generation, so I have 2 first generation families here. So I grew up with my whole family, like all of that. And I'm the baby of about 26 cousins just on my Italian side. So, and my Puerto Rican side is just as big. They're primarily in Puerto Rico, but I do have a lot of family here too in the States. So that was a big transition. Like when we had gotten together, I was like, hey, Cleopatra. This is something that, like, you know, we spoke about because it literally was just the 4 of you guys. And I remember the first time that I actually recently was able to see, you know, the house that you grew up in. So that was definitely a transition, knowing that it was just, you know, the 4 of you guys. But to see how close you guys are, like, that's a completely different story. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's because you guys have been through everything together here. And not only that, your parents were able, the sacrifices they made here, were able to build something beautiful in Egypt. And I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about, you know, your home there too.
Nah, yeah, definitely. I mean, throughout the time, like, my father was working, he'd always stash away money, send it back home. We would always question him, like, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Like, we live in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's just me, my sister, my mom, and my dad. It started getting annoying. Obviously, as you get older, you want privacy, like, you want your own space. And I used to have to tiptoe myself around. Like, sometimes I come home late at night at 3, 4 a.m. and I have to open the door, like, very lightly, and I'm tiptoeing in my house, and then I open the lights. I see my father sitting there waiting for me in the dark. I'm like, dude, like.
Yeah.
So at a point, I was just like, nah, like, we can't do this no more. Like, we were very blessed to be able to find a house, like, after. So my father, like, when COVID came around, my father had COVID, my mother ended up getting COVID, my sister ended up getting COVID, and they were all in the same household. First, my father got COVID due to the fact he was helping out one of his best friends when he got sick. And at the time, my father's like the type where it's like, nothing's gonna happen to me, I'm good, what's COVID, it's a hoax, all this bunch of bullshit. Then his friend got sick, ended up passing away 4 days later after being diagnosed with COVID. And then my father ended up getting sick like 3 days later. So that was like a little bit of a scare.
This was right in the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, like April, like early April. Like, obviously the news wasn't helping. Like, it was making everything seem a lot worse. Like, all the businesses were closed, so everybody was at home that month wondering, like, what the fuck's going on, what's gonna happen. And that was, like, very, like, I guess humbling, just eye-opening, seeing that, like, life isn't guaranteed. Anything could happen. Like, I've been fortunate enough to be younger when, like, grandparents and everything passed away, so I never really had, like, a loved one pass away, like, when I was, like, older and realizing what the hell was happening. So it was definitely humbling. I mean, like, I was very grateful, not humbling.
Yeah.
Then my mother got COVID, my sister got COVID, and at a point, like, I was scrambling around the house trying to buy them stuff and leaving it at the door just to make sure they had everything they needed, not going outside, exposing themselves. Like, I was trying to find Clorox and Lysol, and it was, like, sold out everywhere. It was a bunch of madness, and just grateful to get through all that. And we got a house in Clifton, a very beautiful house, huge, a lot of space. Nobody has to even sit in the same room if they don't want to. Like, very grateful that happened. And it's like, it's what everybody wants. Everybody wants to build, buy the mother a house, like, make sure she's good. And we were able to do it, my sister and I.
Yeah. And not only that, like, so going from a 1-bedroom apartment in Journal Square, Jersey City, to this beautiful, huge, how many bedrooms is it?
It's like 4-bed, 3-bath.
4-bed, 3-bath house, yard, gorgeous here is one thing. But not only that, you know, your family also has a ground-up built unit in Cairo, where you guys are from.
I know you, that's actually what you mentioned before we even talked about that. Like, my father would send away money. Like, it took almost like 8 to 10 years for it to be put together. Like, my father at least owned a building with his siblings. And it's always like, you know how it is when it comes to money and siblings. it's all conflict.
Yeah.
Like they all want what they got. It's all like jealousy. Everybody's conflicting over money. So we were fortunate to find a condo in another building, and he literally built it from the ground up. Like all the touches, like it's a palace. Like got swimming pools, salt water, everything.
Izzy, you have to throw the B-roll up of the video.
Throw it on there.
Of the it's gonna go right on the screen. Like it has to throw that up really quickly right there because the place is gorgeous. Like
Word. It makes like every time I go to Egypt, it makes me not even want to come back. Like it's like because over there, like money goes a long way. Like basically, you can have whatever you want. Like you can have people that cook for you, people that clean for you, people who do everything for you.
What's the difference in pounds to dollars?
So a dollar, I believe at the moment is like 19 pounds. So it's like you go out there with money. Like I mean, if you got a dollar in Egypt, your money goes a long way.
Right. So now that we talked a little bit about your background and your upbringing and kind of where everything started off, you know, you definitely being first generation yourself, you had to learn a lot of stuff on your own, trial and error. My Taurus counterpart, thick-headed as hell, so always making sure he made those first hand mistakes on your own. That was definitely something that you did. But I mean, it definitely brought you into the amazing entrepreneur that you are today. You are not only the owner of SBS Transport, which is a huge company right now that is doing transports cross-country. You also are the owner of SBS Motor Cars, which, you know, that's your baby, man. So I do want to get a little bit more into, I guess, your journey as an entrepreneur, because not only do you own those two businesses, but you have your hands in 50 million other things.
Yeah, so I mean, like growing up, like I would be at home like playing FIFA while my sister's sitting there studying. Like she set the bar so high where I had to basically get creative now because I had a long way to catch up. So my first job was at ShopRite. I worked there for 6 months. I started going crazy. Like I would hear the scanning noise while I was sleeping at night. Then I worked at the movie theater for quite a while. That was a fun experience. I started working as security guard at a couple places, different schools, different hotels, a whole bunch of different places. That was also a great experience. What else? Then I started working in like car industry. I worked at Honda for a while. I hated it. The guy made me shave my beard every day. It was like very
annoying.
It was very racist.
Okay, period. Just call it, just say what it is.
We were young. We didn't really know like what's right, what's wrong. Like take it from there, and then started working bouncing, Hoboken, a few different places, and then I met a couple guys that owned the Richard Lucas Chevrolet in Woodbridge. They told me, hey, come work with us. I mean, I worked with them for almost 2 years. I learned a lot, like basically from the ground up, all the basics, everything I needed to know in the car industry. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I went to go work at a used car dealership for quite a while. I realized my potential from there. Like basically, I was top salesman like every month. And it's like all the skills I learned from there are just from skills that I learned growing up in Jersey City.
Right.
Because you learn how to deal with a whole bunch of different diversity of people, like everywhere, people from everywhere in Jersey City. So once you see that, you could deal with every single one of your customers, like no matter where they're from, what culture, you respect their culture, whether or not like certain cultures can't do certain things.
Is it killing it?
A little bit. It's fine though. It's good. It's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, it's just it's a little loud though.
It's her fault.
So certain cultures can't do certain things on certain days, and you learn to be respectful of that. So once I realized there's potential there, the amount of cars we were selling, a friend of mine is like, hey, I'm about to open a dealership. I'm like, cool, let me know whenever you're ready. So we opened up there in Jersey City. We were working there for quite a while. We were doing very, very well, like for a newly opened business before COVID, and then COVID happened. Mm-hmm. And once COVID happened, it was all security of any business. We weren't even allowed to open a non-essential business, to the point like we could only do appointments curbside. Like we couldn't allow any customers in the showroom. Nobody could touch the car. So it was like, what are we doing? And nothing was being done like by the government. Like everything was just like, deal with it.
Yeah.
So then from that point on, went through COVID, during COVID. So now's the time to get creative. Like if people taking away your opportunity, you gotta build your own opportunity.
Facts.
So that's when I decided to get into car hauling. I bought a truck from there. Started doing transportation literally all up the East Coast area, to the point where we actually bought another van to actually do like cross country.
Okay.
So that was like a good experience doing that. And then I decided to open my own dealership. And that was the whole time I was working on the transport, I was waiting on the licensing for the dealership. And that was a long process. They want everything from you. And then eventually I was able to get it. Got it done in August of 21. And now we're rocking since then.
So everything basically bangs out under 30. What I do want to shed light on is the fact that, first of all, you brought up two major things that I always talk about, and something that I just want to highlight even more is the fact that, one, you said a lot of the skills that you bring to the table when it comes to you in business, not only when you were an employee, but also as an entrepreneur, you learn just in your upbringing from Jersey City. And I think that's definitely not spoken about enough, which is the reason why I just want to pick your brain a little bit further in that, especially for a male, right? Because a lot of the time, especially with the pressure of the circumstances and the environments that we grow up around, when we come from environments where maybe we have to raise ourselves a little bit more than other people, so to speak, we feel as if we have to stay within that soul environment. Like, we can't really, apply ourselves in other areas. And, we talk about this a lot. Like, if you're able to, you've been a salesman through and through. So if you were able to sell a car underneath somebody, why can't you do it in your own name, right? So with all that being said, if let's talk a little bit more about you being born and raised in Jersey City, right? If you were to be placed in any other environment, do you feel as if you know for a fact you'd be able to kill it just because of your upbringing here, or?
I feel like not really. Like, if you grow up like in obviously an environment where everybody's successful around you, you're gonna be given a lot more opportunities than a regular person would when you're growing up around everybody in poverty. So basically, when you see the poverty, you won't see poverty in a rich area. Like, even though if you're poor, you see other stuff happening. So, I mean, it could work good and bad, I guess. I mean, if you're poor in a rich area, you're like, you see the rich stuff, that might fire you up to go on and go get that. Or vice versa, you're looking at it like, oh shit, like, how am I gonna get to that? And then that's when they do nothing.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess it really, like, growing up in Jersey City is like growing up in like a jungle, basically.
Yeah. Right.
It's like you learn everything. Like, you learn literally everything. You need like all basic life skills in order to survive anywhere. Like, we could take this skill, take it down south to Georgia, Texas, Charlotte, whatever, we'll kill it.
Right.
Compared to them down there. They're a lot more slow paced. You notice that. Like, we're like ready to go. Like, we're ready to rock. Like, what's up?
Right.
And over there, it's like everybody's like dragging their feet. Like, you gotta like stay on top of them in order to make things happen. And literally growing up in Jersey City just grows you, like, you grow up as a hustler, period. Like, you gotta try to get any way you can.
100%. I definitely resonate with that. I remember when I had moved, right before I had actually met you. Right before I had met you, I was living in Puerto Rico for a few, and out there was when I really felt that. Like, when I really realized, I was like, damn, I'm just bred differently. Like, there's just, like, people don't even realize that you're running circles around them. Like, they have no idea. And that's where a little bit of resentment comes in. Because I'm like, damn, like, how is this person that, like, Cleo's just gonna cause a ruckus, guys. I'm trying my best to keep her under control, but this is clearly the bad baby, so I'm sorry. Let me see.
Come here.
Be out. Look, you in trouble. Go ahead, go with him.
Come here. It's it. Oh, you don't want to play no more?
Oh, she's smart as hell.
Come on.
She's smart. Rosie don't even care neither. Rosie's just like, I just trying to chill. Go ahead, go. You want to go play, right? You want to play?
You want to play no more? All right.
Oh, all right. Oh, you got yelled at. How's that feel? I'd be embarrassed too.
Just crazy.
It's fucked up. Parenting 101. This is as good as we got right now.
Where did we leave off? He was in Puerto Rico.
Okay, yeah, Puerto Rico. So fucking, I really recognized that when I was living in Puerto Rico. And when I was out there, I was doing the same thing that I was doing out here. I was bartending. And, you know, bartending out here, I bartended in a couple of different locations. I had started bartending when I was like 19. And this is when I was in college. So I started bartending in Providence, and then I was in Miami for a little bit. I was back out here. I was in Jersey. I was in New York. I was in Puerto Rico. And, you know, Providence is definitely slower, but it was the first time that I was in the environment, so I didn't really recognize it as much. When I got to Puerto Rico, after I had developed this skill set for myself, also for my upbringing, whatever, seeing there the difference, like, I was like, wow.
It's like night and day.
Night and day. And the money that we're able to touch there, that's why they say all the time, like, you know, if you can, the tri-state area, if you can make it here, you can really make it anywhere, because we live in such an, like, everything is, our cost of living is high. And to get there, to drive down the road, you got to pay a damn toll. Like, everything costs money. So even though we have the ability and everything, you know, to make more money, like, we're basically living at even means. Now imagine being placed in a location where the cost of living and everything for you to live is so cheap, and you're able to make, if not the same, but more money in that location just based off of your skill set. That's something that's not spoken about. We feel so connected to the land here, and it's crazy. A lot of the times, we don't even own anything.
That's true.
Isn't it? Like,
I know, it's sickening. I mean, not a lot of people know what's out there either. Like, that's why I catch a lot of people, like, if they don't travel, they don't go anywhere, so they don't know what's out there. So that's the city's the only thing that they know, and that's where basically everything goes wrong from there. Like, when you start to transition, like, I started going places outside of Jersey, I started realizing, like, different lifestyles, different ways of life, different weather at the same time. I could have been in Jersey and snow. It's like, what am I doing? Like, so a lot of the reason that a lot of us are attached to here is family, too. At the end of the day, like, if you have family here, it's kind of hard for you to just leave in order to start a whole new life while they're still here. So I mean,
it's just it's so interesting to me though, because, like, yes, that's definitely a fact, and you feel so strongly about that, and you only have, you know, your immediate family here, right? And I don't feel so strongly about sticking here. Like, I've lived in a couple of places. I was born and raised in Jersey City, but once I moved out of my parents' house when I turned 18 and I went to college and I went to Providence, I lived all over the place. Like I said, I lived in Miami, I lived in New York, I lived in Providence, I lived in Puerto Rico. Like, I just bounced around. I was just trying to see what fit because I started traveling. But being from Jersey City, we're both a prime example. We're either first generation ourselves or we come from first generation families. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, we are so connected to this newfound land that literally people, like, are just starting to develop here. And there's so many opportunities that can happen outside of here, but we get caught in this, like, crab in a bucket, mentality, that the only way that you can be successful is if you're successful here in this environment around these people. And that's not necessarily the case. Like, the goal is generational wealth. That could be built anywhere.
literally.
In Egypt.
Literally, from home in your own computer, like, anywhere.
Literally. I want to get a little bit more into talking actually about the transport stuff, because I want to shed light on the environment that we're currently in as, like, an economy, and just you know, shed light on the realities of entrepreneurship and some of the adversities that you've clearly faced. I've seen you face. I've seen you, you know, firsthand overcome. And especially when it comes to the transport stuff, there's been a lot of shifts and changes in stuff since you started this. Curveballs that you definitely did not expect to happen. So I don't know if you just want to get a little bit more into them and how you either found solutions to adapt to them or have just taken the punches and learned different ways, or just, you know, firsthand experiences that you've been through.
Yeah, I mean, like, you never know what's going to happen until you do it. I mean, yeah, so far everything's working out as planned. It's just certain obstacles, like you said, along the way. Like, basically gas prices, like, that nearly doubled since I started. So it's not that, like, like the business slowed up or anything. It's just a matter of
Unforeseen circumstances
that you just got to go through. And it's like with the trucking, for example, you gotta have your P's and Q's on point, because literally you get stopped, quick inspection, they put you out of service, you're paying $1,600 to take it out of impounds, and it's like stuff like that is not the fun part that they tell you about. They tell you about the money you can make. It is there, it's lucrative, but they don't realize is that that's like a gross number. There's still expenses that gotta be taken out of it.
Talk your shit, because people don't talk about the expenses, and these are vehicles.
Yeah.
Expenses pop up all the time.
And there's a lot of maintenance. Like, you don't know what may happen. Like, you're driving down the road, flat tire, trailer flat tire, or then all the maintenance you got to stay on top of, oils, brakes, tires. Like, tires you go through, like, almost, like, 3 times a year, like, with the amount of driving you're doing. And another issue is like reliability of drivers, because you're not relying on yourself to do it. Like, they don't want it as bad as you. It's not their business.
Right.
So it's just a matter of finding someone that's willing to basically like be on the same page as you. Like, I treat everybody as like a partner. Like, I don't treat nobody as an employee. Like, I give them basically, you could do it like pay people hourly, or you could pay people commission based. And commission based makes people want to grind harder. Mm-hmm. And it makes them feel like they're part of the company, which is at the end of the day they are. Like, the company won't run without them. So that's like, I like basically try to stay in the back end of things, do the dispatching, like get them running, basically try to get through any obstacles they might go through throughout the trip. And it's definitely an interesting experience. Like, you don't know what might pop up. Like, it could be all smooth sailing, but you gotta keep in mind that there's hiccups along the way.
Right. Even weather, like even difference in
Yeah, even weather, for example, like snow delays you, like rain delays, and it's like a lot of explaining. You're dealing with brokers, dispatchers, customers, and the whole point of it is to provide great customer service, and that's exactly what we try to do. Period.
But there are a lot of things that are just out of your control that you just bump into, and this is what's starting any business. But I think one big thing that I feel like a lot of people will be able to resonate to. Sorry, I'm trying to learn how to use this Mike Tyson roller at Mike Tyson weed, and what's it called? I'm struggling, so I'm gonna give this to you.
I'll save the day.
Thanks. Thanks. Shit, what were we just talking about? Izzy?
We were talking about, like the transport, like.
Transport stuff, but it was something specific.
Like,
Well, you're going through like what other businesses kind of relate to.
Employees.
Oh yeah. Employees.
Yes. So one thing I do want to point out that we'll bring back up that you pointed out was being specific about the adversities that you face when hiring employees, and at least employees that care enough not to destroy what you're building. I didn't realize as much. Me being a real estate agent, and even in the other businesses that I run, it's primarily a sole proprietorship, so I don't necessarily have a team that I have to directly hire and work with under every day. Yes, I outsource, when need be, if I need services, things like that, but I don't necessarily have an employee. Mm-hmm. So seeing you go through that and experience that firsthand, and even with the trucking things, there are things that you don't think of, drug use, like making sure that you're just checking out for, like, you know what I mean? So I want to talk a little bit more about that, kind of your journey in finding good employees, attempting to find some good employees, and things that you've learned along the way.
So, I mean, basically just try to see what type of time they on, like, basically if they're into, like, drugs, or see what they do for everyday living. Like, I try to make sure, like, they're on the right path and trying to hustle and they want to grind. If I see somebody going down the wrong path, I wouldn't want them basically taking possession of the truck just due to the fact you lose everything. Once you get into one bad situation, it's almost like you don't want to do it no more.
Right.
So matter of finding drivers is number one getting into, employees. Like, it's number one in any business, period, to try to make sure you're going to expand. Without employees, you're not going to grow at a rate that you expect to grow at.
Right.
Like, you could try to juggle so much, and it's basically perfectly fine to do that when you start off the business, to put on the hats of many different positions within a company in order to make sure the company flows. Mm-hmm. So at first it's fine, but then the whole goal of it is to have employees to take care of those certain matters that what could alleviate less stress on you.
Right.
So whether it's the dispatch, and for example in the transport, or whether it's the driver, or whether it's the mechanic to fix the trucks, it's everybody plays a role, and it makes everybody's life easier, and it makes the business basically the gears are basically going perfectly fine.
Right. That's how you make the business scalable. Like being able to allocate the shit that you don't like doing, you should be able to pay somebody to do it. Like that's the goal, right? So then you could allocate your energy to the things that you do enjoy doing, and then you could be the most productive in your business. You know what I mean? We got into a lot about the transport business. I do want to get into SBS as well. SBS Motor Cars, the storefront. Should we get into that first, or should we get into, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Might as well if we're talking about work.
Word. So let's talk a little bit more about SBS Motor Cars. That's a huge accomplishment. That's something that took a lot of upfront energy before you could even open. Between remodeling, waiting for the licensings, trial and error, like to a T with that as well. So get into it.
I mean, basically when we finally found the location after searching for almost like a year, we finally one day just went on Craigslist, found the ad. I was like, hey, let's see what's up with this. Go down there with my partner John. We literally just talked to them, figured something out, agreed to a sales price. They sold us the business, and then we started thinking of new ideas of how to revamp this place.
You downplayed the fuck out of that. Hold on. Can you go back to your opening experience with the storefront of you negotiating for them to sell the business?
Oh, man.
Because that's also an adversity in itself, because as a realtor, right, working with commercial clients, you can opt to work with a real estate agent that handles all the nitty gritty, the dirty work, right? Or you can do it yourself. And then when you find for sale by owners and ads like this on Craigslist, this is something that's real that you can pop into. So why don't you talk about it?
I mean, it did help me out. I'm a realtor too.
Also, yes. And he focuses primarily on commercial.
Yeah, mainly commercial real estate in New Jersey and New York. But basically, we found the place. So the people that were selling it, one partner posted up the store for sale without telling the other partner, which is very important to choose who your partner is, because if you're not on the same page, you might as well close doors right now.
Yeah.
Immediately. So they were always in conflict. They were literally fighting in front of us after. So basically, the other partner ended up showing up to the meeting after his partner set up a meeting with us. We were talking, and then he just comes in storming through the door, basically going crazy, cursing us out in Arabic, and they didn't know I was Egyptian at the time, so I'm sitting here just like listening to what they gotta say and just staying quiet, just basically see like what we could come out of this place. We were looking for a place a long time. Sat there, literally there was arguing back and forth. We were able to get them out the door. Let's just leave it at that.
That's it. That's all y'all need to know.
And the place was a dump. I mean, at the end of the day, you walked in, you thought it was like you're at the Pocono ski lodge with all this wood, like wood floor, wood ceiling, wood left, wood right. And it was like, okay, now it's not the look we're trying to go for. So we started literally ripping up everything, gutted the whole place, renovated fully, completely, everything to the doorknob. And we didn't expect to do all that. But I mean, one thing led to another, and it just kept going and going and going, and it basically came out to like exactly how we want it to be, and that's exactly what you need your environment to be in order for you to want to make money. Because you know damn well you're gonna be there all damn day of your life, it's your career that you're building for yourself, like. So you gotta spend a lot of hours there. So might as well be in a place that's enjoyable, and basically right now everybody knows how the car market is right now. Like prices are high. Like you could capitalize on your car right now if you have equity in it, which I would suggest. You could call me. We do fix. We do fix cars. We sell cars. We provide financing. We lead the customers throughout the whole process from A to Z. to the point, like we try to provide suggestions. We try to show you basically different features in the car that you might like in order to make your everyday life easier. To work with all different types of credit, which is very great because it's like basically helping out people that don't think they get approved. They get approved even with very poor credit, and they feel very happy. Like they did it on their own, no co-signers. Certain times you might need a co-signer, but at most of the time we get you done easily as long as like you're willing to work with me. I'm willing to work with you. I mean, it's awesome though. It's like a passion I always had, just basically negotiating, looking for inventory, traveling out of state in order to pick up cars, because obviously that's where you get the best deals when you travel. And it's definitely a great experience with cars.
I'm grateful that you were able to share your experience, not only on the back end, and you know the adversities that you had went through, especially when you were starting both of the businesses basically at the same time, but also getting into the fact that it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like even when we go through the build out period, the period where we're making $0 and you're building out the space for it to be exactly what you want so that you can maximize off the most capital, all that great stuff. You know what I mean? When we feel like, when is this gonna work? Like definitely as an entrepreneur, I've been through that multiple times before. All of that to then recognize down the line, a year down the line, 2 years down the line of being consistent of how it was just worth it, like at the end of the day. And that's exactly what you wanna look for, especially when you're investing in something like a car. You know, that's a big investment for a lot of people. A lot of the time a car is even seen as a toy, like it's an accomplishment investment. So working with somebody that not only cares, but also pays attention to a lot of detail. I was able to upgrade, you know, my car with all of that, all of your expertise, going from a Honda Civic to a Range Rover. Like that's something that I'm grateful for, but also throughout the entire process, I was educated in. So I'm comfortable the whole step of the way. Seamless, quick, like just knowing all the steps. Every time you have a client come through the door, they leave happy. If you guys aren't following on Instagram, here's the Instagram. Make sure you guys check it out. But you can see the testimonials and the reviews, and it just shows that you care and you love what you're doing. And everything that you're building is worth it.
No, exactly. The whole goal is to make sure like everybody's happy with what they got. Like I don't want to get over anybody. Like I've worked for dealers where they basically try charging people $4,000 or $5,000 in fees, and at the time, it's like you don't feel right from inside, but like you're working a job that you can't do anything. Like, but that's why it's different now. Like I control everything. Like people gotta understand. Like obviously, the market we're in, the prices aren't the same that they were before COVID. So I mean, we do the best to make sure like everybody's happy with what they got at the end of the day.
Right.
And it's like there's no blessing in the money that you receive if they're upset with you. And I don't want to leave a bad note with anybody. Like I just want to make sure I put the good out there and just make sure I get good back. I'm just trying to stay in my lane.
Right. Amen. Oof. Talk your shit. That's what I'm talking about. That was dope. I thank you so much for sharing all of that about business. I know that there are a ton of people that are watching this right now that not only were able to resonate with you, but they definitely learned something and they're able to take that with them. So that was dope. Now getting a little bit more into who you are as a person. One thing that I know about you is that one of your staples, one of your foundations is definitely your faith. And it's interesting, us also as a couple, you know what I mean? The fact that we do have two different backgrounds. I think that it's important to kind of talk about, you know, you as a man and your faith and your role, like its role in your life now, but also kind of how it's guided you through all of your transition, because it's been there from the beginning.
Of course. So basically, I mean, I'm Muslim, obviously. So, I mean, growing up in a Muslim household, it was definitely a lot more stricter compared to like other households that I grew up with. And basically, in Egypt, let me see. Let me think.
Take your time, yeah.
So obviously, like you're raised up to like pray 5 times a day. You got to do Ramadan, And that's been a very important staple in my life, just due to the fact, like, after fasting for 30 days, it literally is like a reset point, like, every year. Like, every year I do Ramadan, I literally, to the point everybody thinks like you're crazy when you tell people that aren't aware or educated about the religion. They think like, wow, like, no eating or drinking, like, they think it's like something very absurd to be done. Well, when, like, growing up in the religion, I learned from my parents obviously what it was, and like the reason behind why we do that is like no other. Like, there's people that, like, bringing it back to the topic we were talking about in the beginning. There's people out there that got nothing, like no food, no nothing. They go 30 days, 60 days without food or water, and it's like a lot of them don't survive, and it's like our way of, like, basically feeling what they're feeling, like, in a way. Like, you humble yourself. Like, we got a lot of resources available to us here, and a lot of people don't, and it's like something we gotta appreciate. And what I really like about fasting is that it's like literally a mental reset, a physical reset, emotional, everything brings you closer to God every year. And it's like something I wouldn't want to miss doing. And there's a lot of events, obviously, when you go, like, during Ramadan, people go to the mosque, they pray, it brings people together, it brings family over, it brings friends over, people want to just eat together. And it's a very good, like, cleansing, great experience. Like, I take it for granted sometimes. Like, sometimes I just want it to be over because I'm sitting here, like, I'm thirsty as hell.
Yeah.
And every year it changes. So every year it changes 13 days. So if it started April 14th, it'll be April 1st next year. And obviously the sunset and sunrise are at different times every day, so it goes down by like a minute or two. So normally I start, like this year for example, I started like around 4 a.m. and I end around 8 p.m. with no food or waters. And throughout the day, it's at first, like throughout the first 2 weeks, it's kind of hard to get through your everyday life, but after that, you just have so much mental clarity in everything you do, and it's like quick cleanse of everything.
I've seen you go through it now for a couple of years, and I mean, even I definitely try every single year to partake in it. It's difficult, and one thing that we've actually just recently spoke about was, I shared with you that it was difficult for me. I was struggling mentally.
Started getting cranky. I'm like, yo,
yes.
They fucking me up. They fucking my piece up.
And I don't want that. And that's especially because there's a purpose behind the entire process. But when speaking to you about it, you were open with me when you had first started, when you were younger, about how, like, you weren't always perfect because you were so dedicated to it. And it's admirable to me, like your will, and you know what I mean. One reason, we've spoken about this before, just like a testament to your character, but I do want to get into kind of like your transition, because as you've grown, you've definitely developed your discipline. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even just sharing, being open about, like, being human from a younger age, when you had those Cleopatra. Hold on. Good to go. All right. Just being human from a younger age, and going through the same struggles that I was going through when I first, that I go through now, and now that I'm first starting in my first few years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you want to share a little bit of that.
You don't really can you repeat what you said? It threw me off.
No, just talking about how, okay, so speaking about me personally, when now these few years that we've been together, I've been every year trying to go through the 30 days. And I struggle, and I wind up not being successful for the entire 30 days. I haven't yet been successful. And you shared with me this year that, when you were younger, like, you would have experiences where, like, yeah, you weren't successful throughout the whole 30 days that you are now. But that's because you've developed discipline. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to just talk a little bit more about that, and even, like, environment, too, because your discipline now is on a whole nother level. And the reason why I say that is because, prior, to you being an adult, you were practicing Ramadan with your family. So your environment was doing what you were doing. Now you practice it and you literally have your friends smoking a blunt in front of you, and me waking up in the morning and running straight to grab a glass of water, not remembering that, you know what I mean? So I don't know if you just want to share a little bit about the journey.
So I mean, people sometimes people feel like they feel like they're offending me by like smoking or eating or drinking in front of me, and actually it's like I don't mind it because, like you said, I did it since I was younger. So throughout, I used to be in the cafeteria. Kids used to be eating around me. Like I didn't really That's what built the control. Obviously, like they would try to offer me snacks, food. When I was younger, I used to, hesitate. But as I grew older, I started realizing like the purpose of why we're doing this, and it literally built like so much self-control and discipline throughout growing up, and it allowed me to apply it to everything throughout my everyday life, through work, like everything, literally. And the fact that like with discipline, it controls you like so much to the point where you could sacrifice like other things you were doing in your life in order to do something that'll give you a better purpose, like better actions you could do in order to build a better future. Like I always want better for myself. I always want better. Like it's like once I get something that I want better, and I'm looking for the next best thing. And that discipline allows me to basically get to that point that I want. Like it's like at first when I was younger, I used to want the material stuff. And then you grow to the point where it's like, I'm not about to sit here and spend $3,000-$4,000 at a club for what?
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning.
Have nothing to show for it.
Have nothing to show for it. I'd rather spend $3,000-$4,000 and like invest in something. Even if it's a gamble investment, it's like something that it will bring me something back. Like I need something back like at the end of the day. And people don't have discipline with money sometimes, and it's like basically the most important skill that you need to get through.
Do you feel like a lot of your, it's clear, I don't even have to ask you the question, it's clear that a lot of your values from your base, your foundation, your religion, you apply to all areas of your life, especially your businesses. Do you feel as if there are ever times where you overcome adversities in entrepreneurship solely because you've already overcame them within your faith? Like,
yeah, I mean, like life lessons obviously teach you the skills that basically you can be able to get through your everyday life. Like that stuff in my religion is instilled in me, so it helps me basically get through everything. Like it keeps me humble, keeps you like sane, level-headed. The whole point like is not to like come out of character. Like coming out of character is not something I choose to or want to do, period. Like the whole point of it is to be humble, put forth good, help the poor, help give back as much as possible. So that's the most important thing. And
that's just the foundation, that's the basis. I think one thing that really opened my eyes to is, obviously being with you and seeing you go through the experience, I see other people that I admire also being very strong within their faith and going through the process of Ramadan. And there were a couple of athletes this year that we saw being open, speaking about it and talking about it while they're full-blown in season, like playing games, fasting, have not had a drop of water, like, and don't break. And I think I do want to get a little bit more into that. Maybe you can like share exactly which athletes, because if you asked me to bring them up, Lord, I couldn't even tell you who they were. But
like, obviously a lot of athletes, like growing up, like at first, like say around like in 4th grade growing up, for example, like when 9/11 happened or 2001 it happened, at that point everybody was scared to be Muslim. It's like the people got scarves on, the people were taking it off. Nobody wanted to openly admit it. And then as of like 2022 now, it's like everything's a lot more open. Like a lot more things in the country are a lot more open now. So it's a lot more people seeing the faith and basically exploring other ways of life. And there's a lot of actually professional athletes that are Muslim, and it's like they sometimes like play a whole game. sometimes while they're fasting, and it shows like the amount of discipline that something it could teach you.
Yes. Like Salah.
Yeah, like obviously, like, and we respect all religions at the end of the day. Like, I'm not gonna look at you any different if you're Christian, Jewish, Buddhist, whatever the case is. The whole point of religion as a whole is to respect one another. You respect one another, that's how literally everything could get like move very fluid in life. And it's not like my religion is better, your religion is better. It's like, well, at least have a faith and something that you like, have something that you want to like, you like touch base with. Like, if you're going through struggles, you need something to like pray to, even if it's whatever.
A foundation.
A foundation. You need home base. You need like some sort of faith.
100%.
In order to make sure like you could pray to get good, and make sure like all the bad stays away and like cleanse you, period.
100%. I don't have anything to add.
Yeah.
That was powerful, yo. Yo, that was like a big ass, that I feel like that's gonna inspire a lot of people. At least to be open-minded.
Yeah. Being open-minded about everything, just making sure like you do good. Like, every religion teaches you to do good at the end of the day. It's just certain extremists that make it look bad.
100%.
Like, that's why a lot of people had hate towards the Muslim religion, because all these extremists. But not every Muslim's like that. Not every Christian's like that. Every Jewish person like that. And it's, as a whole, we just gotta respect it. Everybody respects each other's boundaries and cultures. There's no reason for you to disrespect somebody based upon based upon the faith they choose.
100%. And I feel like you just recently had an experience. I don't know if you even want to talk about it.
I mean, I wouldn't really want to talk about it. Like, obviously, growing up, like, I mean, I don't want to touch that topic.
All right.
Like, period. Just to talk about, like, racism and all that. Obviously, racism is real. And, like, people go through certain things that they shouldn't have to go through. Like, they get hazed and all this bullshit. I wouldn't want to talk about it.
No, I get it 100%. I think that, you know, the most important thing is that you share the reality of what you practice. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's never spoken about, and that's really a main reason why I wanted to bring up, you know, some of that. Who was the basketball player?
Kyrie Irving?
Kyrie, that's who it was. I couldn't think of his name.
It's a lot of, like, in the NBA Finals, Jaylen Brown, but they're about to win a championship. We'll try to win a championship at least.
Facts.
There's a lot of people, like, Salah is, like, one of my favorite players.
Yeah,
like,
he's dope.
And it shows, it's like him, for example. His story's crazy. Like, if you had a chance to interview him, I'm sure it would be the top one.
You would have to be there, because I wouldn't be able to communicate anyway.
You can talk English. Well, it shows you, like, a humble upbringings, like, based upon, like, how they're raised. And that's it.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, again, it's just important that you share the reality of what you practice. Like,
yeah, at the end of the day, nobody's perfect. Like, we grow up in an American society where you see how everything's open about everything. You gotta try to stay away from the good, from the bad, and bad's everywhere. And the whole point of it is just to be true to yourself, know what's right and wrong, and that's it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share?
I mean, that's it. I mean, business-wise or what?
Anything.
No, just making sure, like, you find something that you want to do in life and just go after. Like, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be obstacles, like we mentioned earlier. But the whole point of it is just to, like, bang everything out and just try to get what it is that you want. Just find something that you want.
Right.
It don't got to be motivated by money. You just be motivated by something you love.
Right. I definitely just hope that somebody that's watching this, like, let Hatem be a example for you that being truly who you are is the most fulfilling thing in life, no matter what. Like, whatever it is that you believe in, whatever it is that you are true to, nothing can allow you to be unsure of that. You can't, my dad says all the time, like, you can't be a wave, you have to be sure, right? You have to be, like, that is something that is your whole character. That's what's built you to be the person that you are. 100%. That's what built you into the entrepreneur that you are. That's what built your success.
Yeah, and like we were saying, like, don't put your eggs all in one basket. Like, you try to always, like, diversify your foundation. Like, whether it's like you find a few different things that you're able to do without having to spend your physical time being there. Like there's something I could do from my phone while being at something else that I'm trying to make money with. Why not?
Right.
Like if I could run like an Amazon store, dispatching, I could do whatever, something related to the field that I'm in, and it's like, why not?
Right.
Like if one business not doing good, the other one's supporting you. If that business not doing good, that one's supporting you. Well, if they're all popping,
Right.
you feel on top of the world. If they're all bad, then obviously it's the same way as it being good. But the whole goal of it is taking that risk in order to make sure you're going to be well off in life. Because right now, you see how the market is, you see how the economy is, inflation, all this bullshit. You just got to have like money saved up so you can be able to invest it. If you're just holding your money under your mattress, your money's going to end up being useless with how the rate this inflation is going.
Right. You can't save to be rich anymore. Like you 100%.
Yeah, you gotta get
have
creative.
To invest.
Like start finding new different things you could sell. Like things you could buy at wholesale and sell it. Like everybody knew me growing up throughout life and Instagram, always selling something. And it's like why not? Like
Right.
it's there. It's like I don't have to be there. Like I'm selling it physically from online.
And that grind too is something that you like carry to that has not gone away. Like we're both Tauruses, so this is stuff that we do to this day. Like even when we're moving, if we're relocating stuff, we're selling whatever. Like we're trying to catch any type of lick that we can any way possible. You know what I mean?
It's like why not? It could be something as like shampoo, like
Right.
like
Right.
if she had me selling shampoo on eBay. I was like, well, fuck it, why not? I can make extra money from it. I mean, it doesn't hurt. Even if it's a little bit of money, it adds up. It could support
Even the notary
it
stuff.
could support food. I'm also a notary public. I do loan closings. I do that every now and then. That's just everyday spending money.
And it's
Cars. I have a bunch of cars on Toro for rentals. Like whatever it is you need, I could lead you in the right direction, or I'll have it.
It's the dipping your hands in every little aspect of it. Also, too, you're able to open up other opportunities for yourself. So we talked about you being a notary, you being a car dealership owner, you owning a transport company, you being a commercial real estate agent, and then multiple other sales and consulting businesses that you do on the fly sometimes. Like if the need presents itself and you can fulfill the need, you're definitely going to be taking care of it. So all of that, but it also leads into other endeavors. No money is small to you. So even talking about the notary, yes, an hour or 2 hours of your time, you may be getting paid $250 or $500 for an hour or 2 hours of your time. But that conversation that you had at that closing may have put you in the door to set yourself up for a multi-million-dollar closing with him as a buyer.
It goes hand in hand with my real estate. Like I'm sitting here talking to investors. I'm sitting here talking to first-time home buyers, people that are going to want to buy investment properties. And it gives me an opportunity to basically communicate, network, see what they do. I see on paper what they do based off the paperwork they give me. But it gives me an opportunity to like learn from them, see what they're into, see if anything we have something related. And like I mentioned earlier, it's about finding that one industry that you're in and try to build like other things that would be related to it. So it could be a one-stop shop.
Right.
So if I'm a dealer, I'm trying to be bringing the car to you, fixing the car for you, doing the body work for you, whatever the case may be.
Renting the car
just
on Toro.
renting the car out to you. Whatever it is that's in that industry, I got you. Same thing if you're like, whatever, like if you're cooking, like you're gonna want to do like a restaurant, a bakery, like whatever the case may be.
Uber Eats, Amazon, can you sell it at other storefronts? Can we put you on the shelves and shop
Exactly.
right?
Amazon, you could make small margins off certain things. It's just make it like a cycle. Make it like sell itself. Like you don't have to be there. You're not touching money. Amazon's doing everything for you. You're shipping all your inventory to them, and they ship it out for you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what not? It's like extra streams of income. Any small amount of income that you could add as extra streams without putting in effort for it, why not?
Why not? Exactly. And that's what's going to set yourself up. And this type of hustle is coming from somebody, again, you watch your father set yourself up, develop. Now you guys own property, multiple different areas, you know what I mean? Set yourself up to create generational wealth, and that's exactly what you're doing for yourself and for your future. So let's talk a little bit about the future. What's to come for Hatem?
I mean, we definitely got some stuff cooking right now. I mean, there's a lot of things we still want to explore. I don't want to really talk about it until we do it. But there's definitely things in the works to add more streams of income. I mean, growing up throughout life, I learned that there's like all millionaires have at least 7 streams of income. So
Your favorite billionaire has 10.
I'm always trying to like grind for better. Like there's no stop. Like there's no reason to stop right now, because why not? Like go. It's a race right now.
Facts.
It's everywhere. You can literally grab it anywhere.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of you actually putting forth the effort and waking up every day and applying yourself to society.
Right.
I mean, you meet new people every day. You don't know who you could talk to in a coffee shop. Try to talk to at least 5 people every day. No matter what it is, it's a compliment or just basically talk to them, ask them about their day, and you learn a lot. You never know who you might meet.
100%.
Might put you in a position where that's it. You run off with it. You pop.
It happens all the time. We've gone to stuff where, like, if I have an event that I have to attend, you know, I'm not necessarily. This is a good topic to talk about. I'm not necessarily comfortable going to a lot of events alone, just as a woman, especially in business. So I will always like to be accompanied, kind of like a manager, like by him.
That's another position.
There you go, another role, another stream of income. But like if I go to an event and you know, we're able to 2 birds, 1 stone, and we're connecting with people, and he meets somebody that actually opens up a new door for you, and then that's a new business that we're able to like kind of jump into. It's just it's important that you bring up it's your network, it's who you're communicating with. That 5 people a day is not a joke. Like you should be talking to every and anybody. And again, bringing it back to your faith, like there's no limit onto who those conversations are you're going to be having them with. Those conversations, those amazing conversations can be had with the janitor.
It could be literally anybody. Like I'll talk to somebody standing in front of a gas station to the CEO of something, and at the end of the day, you treat everybody with the same respect. There's no reason for you to act a certain way towards somebody compared to somebody else.
100%.
It's like it's not right morally, and you just gotta like put forth your best efforts at all time. And in regards to the future, you just find a partner and you just grow. Somebody that's like-minded, and you just grow based upon that. See different things that you guys could collab on, like we're doing right now, and grow it from there. Like if something you don't know, I know. If something I don't know, you know, and just bounce ideas off each other. You feel me?
Feel you. If there's one piece of advice that you can give, like let's say somebody's watching right now. I mean, it could be like maybe someone's kid, like maybe somebody's like 14 years old watching this and they're inspired by you. Maybe they're just getting started, or maybe this is somebody who's grown and successful. But if there is just one piece of advice that you can tell us out based off of your personal experiences and the man that you are, what would it be?
Obviously, I would say advice based upon mistakes I made. I'd say just like don't trust everybody when it comes to business. Just you got to make sure that person really wants the best for you, because a lot of people are out to get you. A lot of people don't mean well for you. They're trying to steal from you. They're trying to harm you. You just have to make sure like you're very confident in something you're doing before getting into business with anybody or somebody basically trying to put you in a position. It's just like the most important thing is just make sure that you trust your gut when it comes to everything, and do your homework on that person. Make sure they're not up to no funny business. Like, you just want somebody that wants good for your intention. Like, they have good intentions for you.
Right.
And just never stop grinding.
Yeah.
Just always push.
Facts. Your visions should align morally and business-wise.
Yeah, you definitely got to be on the same page, like, with your future. Like.
100%. Thank you so much
No
for
problem.
sitting down with me and smoking a few blunts and talking shit.
Now
and
roll up.
Damn, I'm not using this though. I can't use this. I almost lost the whole blunt. But thank you so much again, and thank you for being open and inspiring people. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time on Conversations with Coco.
Calling to go when I need all the answers. She told me don't worry, I got you, keep dancing. Future is popping, as God is a witness. Start a new business, oh, it like vision. I took the people and accept me for me. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be. Excuse my temper, I'm just flowing like trees, like the waves in the ocean.